Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to our Lunch with Latrice series, leadership series. We still have to think of a name for it, but welcome. If you are new to my channel, if you are new to my network, welcome, welcome, welcome. I am Latrice Huff, career and leadership coach to ambitious women of color. It's my mission and my movement to put more women of color in positions of power. I help you increase your income and your salary by improving your personal brand, right? So that's what this is all about. How do we improve our personal brand? How do we become better leaders so that we can help create an impact and serve our communities, ourselves, and our family? That's what it's all about. And to do that, you have to start talking about yourself. You have to start talking about yourself. And myself as a Black woman in America, I've always heard from my community and from others, don't brag. No one likes a bragger. Don't think you're better than everyone else. And then once you get into corporate America, once you get into the workforce, and once even for business owners, you own your own business, that ain't gonna fly. You need to share and communicate what you have done. So if you have these feelings about bragging, then you're not sharing with people what you can do for them, what you have done in the past, who you are, this huge part of you and your accomplishments. So that's what I want to share with you all today. I've gotten this question and these comments so much. Latrice, I don't want to feel like I'm bragging in these interviews. I don't want to feel like I'm bragging when I'm speaking to my boss. I don't want to feel like I'm bragging when I'm speaking to a client. Okay. So we are going to address that. I'm going to share with you all some practical tips and tricks about how you can speak about yourself without feeling like you're bragging. Okay. We're just going to jump right into it. But before we get into that, again, give me a hey, hi, let me know where you're joining in from. And I also want you to do me a favor and share this out. Tag another Black woman, Hispanic woman, Asian woman who needs to hear this, who has been holding back her story and her accomplishments and her glory because she doesn't want to feel like she's bragging. Tag her in the comments. Share this out. Share this live out on your networks for any person who needs to hear this, who needs to be served with this message today. It's going to help me out and it's going to help them out. So thank you all so much for sharing. If you have not done so already and you want to be a part of my network, feel free to follow me. I'm going live on LinkedIn and YouTube simultaneously. So feel free to follow me on LinkedIn and click the notification bell twice. And if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe and then hit that notification bell twice as well. That way you get notified anytime I go live, anytime I'm posting all this amazing relevant information. Sometimes I do impromptu lives when I just have some information to share and you want to get notified so you can join. All right. I want you all to also start putting in the comments any experiences you've had in interviews, speaking with clients, with leadership, and those feelings that come up about bragging. Okay. I want to know what's going on with you guys. As I'm going through this, I want to share too. I also have a free workshop. I have two workshops that I did. One on how to successfully pivot and transition as a woman of color in 2025, and then I recently just did one on how to become a better leader, get paid, promoted, and positioned for impact. If you like access to those workshops for free, just put pivot in the comments and we'll send you the links. Okay, so you can have those. I give even more deeper information. But I want to make sure I give you all of that. Hey, Yolanda. Hey, ma'am. Hey, is it Yoshima? Let me know if I pronounced that correctly. Thank you all for chiming in, for watching. This is so important. I love to see the beautiful faces of women of color getting this information. I'm going to go right into it. This is going to be a mind. Before we even get into the tips, I need y'all to think. We need to get into bragging is not bad. Bragging is not a bad word. Okay. Let me just start there. I know we felt like it. So people come to me, and I'm going to just call us out, especially women. And in every culture, from every walks of life, from all over the globe, with this notion of I cannot brag. Like that is a cardinal sin. Like, oh my God, Latrice, how do I make more money without bragging? How do I speak about myself without bragging? How do I pass this interview without bragging? Sis, bragging is not this terrible bad thing. Let's just let before we even get started, can we just all have a change of mindset in that? Bragging is not bad. You're you're not going to get struck by lightning if you brag about yourself, okay? Seriously. Like what do we think? And I've grown up this way too. So I've had to overcome this and work on this mindset shift of like bragging is not bad. Can we just put that to the side? Like, okay, we're going to work on that limiting belief. Bragging is not bad. You're not going to get struck by lightning if you all of a sudden brag about yourself. Okay. Like, it ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen. The worst thing that could happen if you brag about yourself, if someone may say, oh, you're bragging. They were like, oh my God, they said I was bragging. It's not a bad word. It's not a bad thing. It is not a cardinal sin to brag. Okay. So we're going to put that to the side. I'm still going to share tips. I'm still going to complete my promise to you all and share with you all how to speak about yourself without bragging. But I feel in my spirit, I have to share this, that bragging is not bad. It is not a dirty word. It is not a bad action. I can think of 100 worse things you can do than brag about yourself or others. Okay. Put that back there. Bragging is not bad. So now that we have that, that is not this terrible bad thing that we're going to get struck by lightning if we all of a sudden brag about ourselves. How can we do it? How can we speak about ourselves, communicate our accomplishments without bragging? I want to help you all. The first step, let's reframe bragging with leadership. Okay? Leadership is part of, in order to be an effective leader, and leadership is just influence and impact. You have to share about your influence and impact. You have to share about your accomplishments. So you have to do these things, okay? So what if we just say, this is bragging, or no, I'm gonna say bragging. Speaking about yourself is just part of leadership. It's just part of leadership. And you all are leaders in your everyday lives. Think about if you never talked about anything that you've ever done. Like, you have to do that. How will I know what you've done in the past and who you are and what you can do if you don't tell me? And a lot of times we like to rely on our credentials. I have this degree. I went to this school. I have 10 years of experience. That doesn't mean anything these days. It doesn't mean anything. It's just like, okay. And I will say, we don't always see this, but just listing your credentials can be seen more as bragging than sharing with someone your accomplishments. Than letting them know what you've actually done versus what you've completed. But we rely on these credentials, and credentials are important. We need to share, what do the credentials mean? Okay. So think about talking about yourself, and so we're going to reframe bragging as leadership. How am I sharing and showing my leadership, my influence, my accomplishments? Okay. So when you think of it that way and start talking in terms of what you have led, initiatives you've created, accomplishments you've done. Okay. Think about it that way. I want to share number 2. This is a strategy piece. We got mindset piece, we got strategy pieces. When you are talking about your accomplishments and what you have done, you need to tie it into them. Again, why should they care? What is relevant? If you say, okay, I have a degree from Harvard, and you just leave it there, that sounds like bragging. If you're like, you know what, I have a degree from Harvard and it really exposed me to different cultures, different nationalities, and I now know how to quickly adapt in any situation. I know how to read people, and that's why I would be great for blah, 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 blah. That's why I can take your business to the next level. That's why I'm giving you my advice or my expertise on this. This will work even when you're presenting to leaders. This is not just for I'm trying to get the job. This is also for when you're in the role. And this is something I share with my clients. Once they get that promotion, once they get that new leadership role, you now need to be communicating what you're doing even more. But you need to tie it into them, tie it into your audience. Think about why should they care? What problem are you solving for them? When you're sharing about a story, an accomplishment, right? A humble brag. How does it tie in to them? I take all of my clients through this. Like, how does it tie in? What is the problem you solve? How can they see in this accomplishment how you can help them? Right? We should not just be saying, I have 20 years experience. They were like, okay, well, somebody over here got 10. Or somebody over here has 5. Why would that make you better? Why would I care? You have to say, I have 20 years experience and I've worked for companies and that have gone from small mom and pop shops to now mid-sized companies like you're trying to take your organization. I've seen all of the growing pains and challenges that they've gone through, and I can help you get through those faster and accomplish your goals quicker. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, if I'm in an interview and a company is saying, like, hey, one of our major goals is we want to go from a $5 million company to a $20 million company, and we want to do this in 6 years. I'm going to share how I've worked with companies or worked for companies that did this. I saw the growing pains, and I can use that to help you avoid these growing pains and hit your goals at that timeline or sooner. Do you see what I'm saying? Let me know if this is making sense. Of we're not just going to be telling them like I did this, I would here, or I would travel all the time. It's like, okay, but how does it relate to me? Even when we're in meetings with leadership and senior executives, and we start telling things that we've done, we then need to say, how does this impact your department? How does this impact company objectives? Where does this put us on our deadline and our goals? Tie it in. If you have your own business, same thing. You will see on people's websites, they just got a list of things that they've done. How does it relate to me? I always make it a point to share with you all other accomplishments, other things I've helped women of color do. I always say this is what's possible, and I'm sharing this so you can see what's possible for you. So you can see yourself in this accomplishment. Yoshima says, good point. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I see when you said that's correct. Let me know what you were referring to. But yeah, thank you. This I'm trying to drill this home because I see so many of us miss this. We miss this on our resumes, on our LinkedIn, on our websites, when we're speaking, when we're networking. That's what makes it feel like it's bragging when you're just rattling off things and it has no relevancy to the person that you're talking to, or you don't draw the connection for them. You may see that it's relevant, but they don't. So you need to draw that connection to them explicitly. This can't be gone are the days where things are inherent. Oh, they know what I mean. In 2025, going into 2026, especially with this administration and as a woman of color, we do not have the luxury of implying things. We need to be explicit. And this is how I can help you do this. And this is why this is important to you. And this is how I can solve your problem. You need to be explicit. If you just go into any conversation, just letting them know, just rattling off accomplishments with no tie in, not only will you feel like you're bragging, it will also seem like you're bragging. Again, bragging ain't a bad word, but it won't give you your effective desire. Right? If your goal is to get a new client, get the job offer, get praise in the leadership meeting, it's not going to have the same effect. You have to tie it in to them. And let me know if this makes sense. Let me know because I see a lot of people, we miss this. We're like, okay, I've been told I need to share my accomplishments. So we share, but there's no tie in. So it doesn't make, it's just coming out. It doesn't make sense. It makes sense to you, but they don't see why. It was correct. You spelled my name. Thank you. Thank you. All right. And then here's my last one. As I'm going through this last one, let me know if you all have any questions, any comments. I love seeing your comments and your questions in the comment section coming up. I do want to share again, if you're interested in, I have two free workshops. They're pre-recorded. You can watch them at any time. And then you're also going to, when you sign up, you also get on my email list. I do a lot of network only webinars and Q&As that are only accessible to my email list. Sometimes I like to keep things a little behind the curtain, and they're all free, but it's so good to get some great information. You also get early access to any programs or offers that may be coming up. So we have the pivot workshop, how to pivot and transition as a woman of color. This is good too. I've been getting questions about how to pivot from government to private sector. That's a good workshop. And then I just recently completed the workshop on how to what was it? Oh, how to become a better leader, get paid, promoted, and positioned for impact. That is a great one if you are looking for your next leadership role or become a better leader. Hit pivot in the comments and you'll get access to both of those workshops. We'll send you the link to both of those workshops. Okay. All right. And then here's my final tip for you all. Be sure to share it as a story. You have to give it in a story. With my clients, we use this proprietary method called the tier method, where we're creating emotion, we're telling about the results, we're expanding on the problem. So it's called the tier method, and it's something that I invented that works specifically for women of color when they are telling their stories. Actually, I've used this with my male clients too, so women of color and male men of color, because it helps remind us to give a teaser, expand on the problem, tell the actions, and then the results. All right. So when you're telling about what you've done in a story method, it does two things. It helps people remember. Okay. We always remember better with stories. And it helps people create an emotional connection versus facts. Facts tell, stories sell. I want y'all to remember that. So if you're trying to sell a new client, if you're trying to sell an employer into hiring you, if you're trying to sell your boss on a promotion, if you're trying to sell leadership on an initiative or an idea, and y'all, this is a skill you need right now. I do not care if you are in the most financially stable industry and you're like, I've been at my company for 15 years. In this economy and in this job market, you need to be quote unquote selling yourself and always again expanding your opportunities. I've seen too many women, especially in the last 6 months, come to me like, I've been working for this company for 20 years and all of a sudden they let me go. You should be dropping breadcrumbs and telling stories, quote unquote, bragging about yourself this whole time. You should be letting them know that you are an integral part of this business success. We cannot afford right now in this economy, in this job market, to not be sharing about ourselves. Yeah, let me tell you something. I love the word bragging. I know y'all don't. Okay. So I was like, speaking about yourself, sharing the stories of you and your team's accomplishments every chance you get. And when you use these three tips together, instead of just focusing on one, usually I'd be like, pick one you're going to use. For this, when we were talking about speaking ourselves without bragging, it needs to be used in tandem. They need to be used together in a circular motion. You can't just pull one out. You need to be doing all three. Okay. Meaning you need to be looking at bragging as leadership. You need to be tying in your goals, your accomplishments, your quote unquote brag, tie that in to what is relevant to your audience. Tie it into the problem they need solved. Tie it into what matters to them. And then you need to be telling it as a story. There is no getting around it. This is what makes it sound like bragging when you're just running things off. I have a degree. I got 20 years experience. I have an SPHR. In fact, I have 2 certifications. Okay. I'm not going to remember that as soon as we get off this conversation. I'm not going to remember. I'm just going to remember, oh, she had a lot of credentials. I'm not going to remember what it was, why it's important to my company, to my business. None of that. None of that. Thank you, Yolanda. She's like, she love it. Facts tell, stories sell. Yes. If you take nothing else, you remember that, and you're like, okay, I need to go into this with a story. I need to make sure that I'm tying it into a problem they solve. Okay, I need to make sure that I'm giving my accomplishments. That's showing my leadership. So yes, I love the fire. Y'all know I love me some fire emojis. Love it. Love it. Yes. Facts tell, stories tell. We are as human beings, we're prone to remember stories more than just random facts anyway. And when we're just kicking off what we have, what we've done, it's just coming off like random facts that have no relevancy. When you put it into a story, and this is why you all can take my example, look at some of my posts, look at it when I go live. I always share stories of my clients. I tie it in. I make sure you all know that they're just like you. They started off. I have one client, she was laid off for 15 months. She worked with another coach, right? I tell about what could have went wrong. Had she not hired me, she could have been unemployed even longer. She needed someone who understood her point of view. She needed someone who knew where she was coming from and would listen and hear to her and gave her modern techniques and also addressed her mindset. Doing that, we worked together. She wound up getting a 300,000 remote role. That income changed her life. $300,000 and still able to work from home, still considered in a leadership role. Do you see how I did that? I'm tying in to be like, this is possible for you all too, right now in 2025 in today's market. You have to know how to tell these stories. If you even look at people's posts and they have like a ton of engagement, 9 times out of 10, they're telling a story. If you've ever spoken to someone, you know how they say, like, some people got the gift of gab. Usually they're telling a story, they're invoking emotion, they're telling people how it's relevant to them or relevant to something that's going on around them. And telling an effective story, you don't have to come out of character, right? Like if you're like, Latrice, my energy is a little toned down. Beautiful. I attract a lot of introverts. I think it's because I'm a little extroverted, so I attract more introverted clients. And when I teach them how to tell their story in their own style, it's way more effective for them. So you can tell your story without feeling like you're bragging, but still getting through your accomplishments and how it's relevant to the person you're talking to. And that will help you achieve your desired results. Okay. Let me know what was your biggest takeaway. I didn't want to take up too much of your time. I said I was going to stay on for around 20 to 30 minutes. But as I went through the tips, which ones kind of resonated best with you? I see Yolanda says, yeah, facts tell, stories sell. Yes, that is a that's that's a major one. You have to tell things in the form of a story. But share in the comments, what was your biggest takeaway? And I want you all to use these as I'm sharing these tips and ideas with you all. These are proven techniques that have worked for me and my clients. I want you all to be able to use these right now. If you're interested in taking this farther, you can DM me, just DM me leadership. And I will get you on a phone call. We'll do a consult. I want to know where you're at in your career, what your goals are, and I'll share with you how I can help you. And I'll tell you some more stories about how I've helped other clients in your exact same situation. But yes, DM me leadership. I will get you the link to my calendar so you can schedule a private consult with me. And don't forget, if you want access to those free workshops, put pivot in the comments. All right. You all have a great day. All my replay people always say this: if you're watching the replay, hashtag replay. Also, once we're off, I'm still looking at the comments. So feel free, even once the live is over, you can still put your comments in the comment section and I will see them and we will respond. You all have a wonderful day. Happy Monday. Bye.